The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as the human ambassador walked to the speaking platform. Ambassador Chen Wei stood there, small compared to the massive Thoraxians and the towering Velkari delegates. She was just 1 meter and 60 centimeters tall, the smallest being in the room, but she stood straight and proud. "You have requested to join our council," said High Speaker Vorath, his 4 eyes blinking slowly. "But we have concerns. Your species is young. You have only been traveling between stars for 300 years. We have done so for 10,000. Chen Wei nodded. "Yes, we are young among the stars, but we are old in another way. We are old in survival." The delegates looked at each other. They did not understand. "Let me tell you about my people," Chen Wei continued. "Let me tell you what we are." Far across the galaxy, on a small colony world called New Prospect, a different scene was happening. The colony had been established just 20 years ago. 5,000 humans lived there, building homes and farms in the red soil. They had come seeking a new life. They had found something else entirely. Colony Director Marcus Webb stood at the window of the command center. Outside, the sky was turning a strange color. Purple and orange mixed together in ways that should not happen. The ground was shaking. "What is it?" he asked. Dr. Sarah Okonkwo, the chief scientist, looked up from her instruments. Her face was pale. "The planet's core, it's becoming unstable. We missed it in our surveys. The magnetic field is collapsing." "How long do we have?" 3 days, maybe 4. The radiation levels will become fatal within a week after that. Marcus felt cold inside. 5,000 people, families, children. The nearest human ships were 2 weeks away at fastest speed. He had called for help already, but help would arrive too late. "There has to be something we can do," he said. Sarah shook her head. "The science says no, there is no solution. We cannot stop a planetary core collapse. We cannot shield from that much radiation. We cannot survive this." Marcus turned away from the window. He looked at the pictures on his desk, his wife, his 2 daughters. The oldest was 7. The youngest was 3. "The science says no," he repeated. "But science has been wrong about us before." He pressed the communication button. "All department heads, emergency meeting now." Back on the council world, Chen Wei was still speaking. 200,000 years ago, my ancestors lived on the plains of a continent called Africa. They were small. They were weak. They had no claws, no sharp teeth, no armor, no poison. The world was full of predators that could kill them easily. "How did they survive?" asked a Velkari delegate. The Velkari were covered in natural armor plates. They could not imagine being so vulnerable. "They survived because they refused to die," Chen Wei said simply. "When the predators came, they learned to throw rocks. When the rocks were not enough, they made spears. When spears were not enough, they made fire. They changed themselves. They changed their tools. They changed everything around them. But they never stopped fighting to live." The chamber was quiet. The delegates were listening now. 70,000 years ago, a great volcano erupted on our world. The sky filled with ash. The temperature dropped. Food became scarce. Our species was reduced to perhaps 10,000 individuals. Maybe fewer. We should have died then. "But you did not," said High Speaker Vorath. "We did not. We found new food sources. We moved to new places. We helped each other. We survived." On New Prospect, the emergency meeting was happening. 30 department heads sat around the table. They all knew the situation. They all knew what the science said. Marcus stood at the head of the table. "I'm not going to lie to you. This is bad. The worst thing that could happen to a colony. We have 3 days before the collapse really starts, and maybe a week after that before the radiation kills us all. Help is 2 weeks away." "So we're dead," said Chief Engineer Rodriguez. He was an old man who had helped build 3 colonies before this one. He had seen bad situations, but never this bad. "That's what the science says," Marcus agreed. "But I didn't bring you here to talk about dying. I brought you here to talk about surviving." "How?" asked Dr. Okonkwo. "I've run every simulation, there's no way." "Then we'll make a way." Marcus pressed a button and a holographic map of the colony appeared. "We have resources, we have smart people, we have 3 days. What can we build? What can we change? How do we keep 5,000 people alive until help arrives?" The room was silent for a moment. Then Chief Engineer Rodriguez laughed. It was not a happy laugh. It was the laugh of a man who had just realized something important. "You're serious," he said. "I'm always serious about survival." Rodriguez stood up. He walked to the holographic map. His old hands were shaking a little, but his eyes were bright. "The mining tunnels, they go deep, really deep. We were looking for rare metals. The tunnels are reinforced. Radiation doesn't penetrate rock well if we could get people down there." "The tunnels aren't big enough for 5,000 people," someone said. "Then we make them bigger," Rodriguez replied. "We have 3 days and a lot of mining equipment." "What about air, water, food?" "We have hydroponics facilities. They can be moved. We have water recyclers. They can be moved. We have air processors. They can be moved." The room was changing. Marcus could feel it. The despair was becoming something else. It was becoming determination. "What about power?" asked the head of the energy department. "The main reactors are on the surface. They won't survive the radiation." "We have smaller portable reactors," Rodriguez said. "They're meant for mining operations. They can run for months." "It won't be enough power for everything." "Then we use less power. We turn off everything we don't need. We live small. We survive." Dr. Okonkwo was looking at her data pad. Her fingers were moving fast. "This is insane. The mathematics of it, the logistics. We would have to move everything. Every person, every piece of equipment, every scrap of food, in 3 days." "Can it be done?" Marcus asked. She looked up. There was something new in her eyes. "The science says no, but—" she paused. "But the math says maybe. If everything goes perfectly, if everyone works, if we don't sleep, don't stop, don't give up, maybe." Marcus smiled. "Then we have our answer. We don't die in 3 days. We work in 3 days." In the council chamber, Chen Wei was continuing her story. "We survived ice ages that covered our world in frozen death. We survived plagues that killed half our population. We survived wars, famines, floods, and fires. Every time something tried to kill us, we found a way to live. And we did not just survive. We grew stronger. Each disaster taught us something. Each near extinction made us more determined." "This is impressive," admitted High Speaker Vorath. "But many species have survival stories. What makes yours special?" Chen Wei smiled. It was a small smile, but there was something hard in it, something ancient. "What makes us special is that we never learned how to give up. Other species see a situation with no hope and they accept death. We see the same situation and we start looking for options. We dig, we build, we fight, we change. We refuse to accept that any problem has no solution. This is not because we are brave. It is because we cannot imagine doing anything else." She paused. "Let me tell you what is happening right now on a small colony world called New Prospect." The first day on New Prospect was chaos, but it was organized chaos. Marcus had divided the colony into teams. Each team had one job. The mining teams went into the tunnels, working to expand them. The moving teams started carrying supplies. The technical teams worked on the power systems and life support. The medical teams prepared for injuries and sickness. Everyone worked. Old people, young people, even children helped carry small items. No one complained, no one cried. There would be time for crying later, or there would be no time at all. Rodriguez stood in the main mining tunnel, watching his teams work. The sound of drills and explosives filled the air. They were blasting new chambers, clearing rock, making room. In normal circumstances, this work would take months. They had hours. "We need to go faster," he said into his communication device. "We're already at maximum speed," came the reply. "Any faster and we risk a cave-in." "Then be careful, but be fast. People are counting on us." On the surface, the sky was getting worse. The purple and orange colors were spreading. Sometimes there were flashes of light, like lightning but different. The ground shook every few hours now. Dr. Okonkwo had set up a monitoring station. She watched the data come in. The planetary core was destabilizing faster than she had predicted. They might have less than 3 days. She did not tell anyone. It would not help. They were already working as fast as possible. Instead, she joined the moving teams. She carried boxes of medical supplies down into the tunnels. Her back hurt. Her arms hurt. She kept carrying. A young man fell beside her. He had been carrying too much. His legs had given out. "I can't," he gasped. "I can't do any more." Okonkwo knelt beside him. She was exhausted too. Everyone was exhausted, but she grabbed his hand and pulled him up. "You can," she said, "because you have to, because your family needs you to, because we all need each other to. Rest for 5 minutes, then keep going." The young man nodded. He sat down, breathing hard. After 5 minutes, he stood up and kept carrying. This was happening everywhere. People pushed themselves beyond their limits. When they couldn't go further, others helped them. When they fell, they got back up. The colony had become one organism with one purpose: survival. In the council chamber, Chen Wei was describing these events. The delegates listened in surprise. "Your people are trying to survive by digging into the ground?" asked a Thoraxian delegate. The Thoraxians were large and strong. They solved problems with force. This solution seemed strange to them. "They are using what they have," Chen Wei explained. "This is what humans do. We adapt, we improvise, we use rocks and sticks and dirt and whatever else is available. We turn weakness into strength." But can they succeed? The mathematics seem impossible. "The mathematics have always been against us. We succeeded anyway." High Speaker Voreth leaned forward. "You speak as if this colony's survival is certain, but it is not. They may still fail. They may all die." "Yes," Chen Wei agreed. "They may, but they will die trying. And that, High Speaker, is what makes us different. We do not accept death quietly. We fight it with everything we have until our last breath. And sometimes, against all odds, we win." The second day on New Prospect was harder. People had not slept. The food was running low because half of it was already underground. The air on the surface was starting to taste strange. But progress was being made. The mining teams had expanded the main tunnel into a series of chambers. It was not pretty. The walls were rough and uneven, but there was room for people to stand, to sit, to lie down. The technical teams had moved 3 portable reactors underground. They were now setting up the life support systems. Air processors hummed to life. Water recyclers began their slow work. Marcus walked through the tunnels, checking on everything. He had not slept either. His eyes were red and his movements were slow, but he kept walking. He needed to see. He needed to know. In one chamber, families were setting up sleeping areas. They had brought blankets and pillows. Children were crying. Parents were holding them, whispering that everything would be okay. Maybe it was a lie, but it was a necessary lie. In another chamber, the hydroponics team was setting up their growing stations. The plants looked sad and drooping. They did not like being moved, but they would survive. If the humans survived, the plants would too. In a third chamber, the medical team had established a small hospital. Already there were patients, broken bones from accidents, exhaustion. One man had a heart attack from the stress. He was alive but weak. "How are we doing?" Marcus asked Dr. Okonkwo. She looked at her data. "We're behind schedule. We've moved about 60% of what we need to move, and we're running out of time. The collapse is happening faster than expected." "How much faster?" "We might have 30 hours instead of 48. Marcus closed his eyes for a moment. 30 hours, that was nothing. That was impossible. He opened his eyes. Then we work faster. People are already collapsing from exhaustion. Then we help them up and keep going. We don't have a choice. Okonkwo nodded. She had known he would say that. She had hoped for something else, some magic solution. But there was no magic. There was only work. She went back to carrying supplies. The night came, but no one noticed. Underground, there was no day or night. There was only the work, the endless, desperate work. At some point, Marcus's wife found him. She was carrying their youngest daughter, who was sleeping. Their oldest daughter was walking beside her, holding her mother's hand. "You need to rest," his wife said. "I can't. You'll die if you don't." Marcus looked at his family. They were everything to him, everything he was fighting for. "1 hour," he said. "Wake me in 1 hour." He found a corner and lay down. He was asleep in seconds. His wife stood over him, watching. She did not wake him in 1 hour. She let him sleep for 2. It was all she could give him. In the council chamber, Chen Wei was quiet for a moment. The delegates waited. "I apologize," she said. "I was receiving a communication from New Prospect. The situation is critical." "Will they survive?" asked High Speaker Voreth. "I do not know, but they are still fighting." "Why are you telling us this story?" asked a Velkari delegate. "What does it have to do with your request to join the council?" Chen Wei looked at the delegate. "Because you need to understand what you are getting if you accept us. We are not like other species. We do not give up. We do not accept limits. When we are told something is impossible, we try anyway. This makes us difficult. This makes us dangerous, perhaps, but it also makes us valuable." "Dangerous how?" "Dangerous because we will never stop. If we become your enemies, we will fight until we are dead, all of us, every single one. We will make you pay for every victory. We will come back from defeats that should destroy us. We will never, ever surrender." The chamber was very quiet. "But," Chen Wei continued, "if we become your friends, we will bring that same determination to your side. We will help you survive things you thought were unsurvivable. We will find solutions you never imagined. We will stand with you against any threat, no matter how great." She paused. "So the question is, do you want humans as enemies or as friends? Because we are not going away. We are here in this galaxy now, and nothing will remove us. We survived everything our home world threw at us. We will survive whatever the stars throw at us too." High Speaker Voreth looked at the other delegates. They were all thinking the same thing. This small, soft, fragile-looking species was not fragile at all. They were harder than steel, harder than anything. "Continue your story," he said. "Tell us what happens to your colony." The 3rd day on New Prospect began with an earthquake, the biggest one yet. People screamed, the tunnels shook, rocks fell from the ceiling. In one chamber, a support beam collapsed, trapping 3 workers. Marcus ran to the scene. People were already digging, pulling rocks away with their bare hands. The trapped workers were calling for help. "Get the rescue equipment," Marcus shouted. "There's no time," Rodriguez said. He was already on his knees moving rocks. His hands were bleeding. He didn't care. Others joined him. They formed a chain, passing rocks from person to person. The air was full of dust. It was hard to breathe. They kept digging. After 20 minutes, they reached the trapped workers. 2 were injured but alive. The 3rd had been crushed by a large rock. She was dead. Her name was Maria Santos. She had been an engineer. She was 28 years old. She had volunteered for the most dangerous work because she had no family to leave behind. Marcus knelt beside her body. He did not know what to say. There were no words for this. A good person had died trying to save others. "We need to keep moving," Rodriguez said softly. "I'm sorry, but we need to." Marcus nodded. He stood up. He wiped his eyes, and he went back to work. They buried Maria later in a small ceremony. It was quick. There was no time for more. People said kind words about her. They promised to remember her. Then they returned to their work. By the end of the third day, most of the supplies had been moved underground. The tunnels were crowded and uncomfortable. The air was stuffy despite the processors. The food was being rationed, but everyone was inside. Everyone except for the surface team. A group of 50 volunteers had stayed on the surface to complete the final preparations. They were sealing the tunnel entrances with thick metal doors. They were setting up radiation monitors. They were doing the last things that needed to be done. They knew they might not make it underground in time. They volunteered anyway. Marcus wanted to be with them. He wanted to be the last one in, but his people would not let him. "You're the director," Rodriguez said. "You need to stay alive. You need to lead us through what comes next." "What comes next might be dying slowly underground." "Then you need to lead us through that too." So Marcus stayed in the tunnels. He watched the monitors. He waited. The surface team worked fast. The sky was now completely purple. The ground was shaking constantly. Strange sounds came from the distance, like the planet itself was screaming. The team leader was a woman named Janet Kowalski. She had been a soldier before becoming a colonist. She had seen death before. She was not afraid. "Seal the last entrance," she ordered. "Everyone inside move." Her team ran. The metal door was closing slowly, grinding into place. The radiation alarms were starting to sound. The air was becoming poison. The first team members reached the door and slipped through. Then more and more. Janet counted them: 47, 48, 49. One was missing. She looked back. A young man had fallen. His leg was injured. He was crawling toward the door, but he was too slow. Janet didn't think. She ran back. The radiation was searing her skin. She could feel it burning her from the inside. She grabbed the young man and pulled him up. She threw him toward the door. Hands reached out and caught him, pulled him inside. The door was almost closed. 6 inches of gap, 4 inches too. Janet dove. She hit the ground and rolled. The door sealed behind her with a heavy clunk. She lay on the ground, breathing hard. Her skin was red and blistered. Her lungs hurt, but she was alive. "You're crazy," someone said. "Yeah," she agreed. "I know." The medical team rushed to help her. She was badly irradiated. She would be sick for a long time, but she would live. And so would the young man she had saved. In the council chamber, Chen Wei received another update. Her face showed relief. "They made it," she said. "All 5,000 colonists are now underground. The surface is deadly, but they are safe for now." "For now," repeated High Speaker Voreth. "But how long can they survive? They are trapped underground with limited supplies. Help is still many days away." 11 days, Chen Wei confirmed. "They must survive 11 more days." "That seems very long." "It is, but they have done the hardest part. They have given themselves a chance. Now they just need to hold on." "What if they cannot? What if the supplies run out? What if the equipment fails? What if the tunnels collapse?" Chen Wei looked at the High Speaker. "Then they will deal with those problems when they come. They will adapt. They will find solutions. They will survive, because that is what humans do." Underground, the waiting began. The tunnels were dark and crowded. 5,000 people in a space meant for a few hundred. There was no privacy. There was no comfort. There was only survival. Marcus organized the colony into shifts. While some people slept, others worked to maintain the equipment. The air processors needed constant attention. The water recyclers sometimes clogged. The power systems had to be carefully managed. Food was distributed twice a day. Small portions, not enough to feel full but enough to survive. People complained at first. Then they stopped complaining. Complaining used energy that was better spent on other things. The children were the hardest part. They didn't understand why they couldn't go outside. They didn't understand why they had to stay in the dark, cramped tunnels. They cried. They asked questions. Their parents did their best to comfort them. Some of the older colonists organized activities for the children. They told stories, they played games, they sang songs, anything to keep the children's minds off the situation. Marcus's oldest daughter, Emma, became a helper. She was only 7, but she understood that something bad was happening. She went around the tunnels, giving water to people, checking on the elderly, playing with the younger children. She made people smile. "Where did you learn to be so brave?" Marcus asked her one night. "From you," she said simply. It was the kindest thing anyone had ever said to him. The days passed slowly. 1 day, 2 days, 3. The radiation on the surface was now lethal within minutes. The tunnels were holding, but there were problems. On the 4th day underground, one of the air processors failed. The air in that section became stale and thin. People started gasping for breath. Rodriguez led the repair team. They worked frantically, taking the machine apart, finding the problem, fixing it. 2 hours later, fresh air was flowing again. 12 people had passed out from lack of oxygen. All of them recovered. On the 6th day, the water recycler backed up. Contaminated water mixed with the clean supply. People got sick. The medical team worked non-stop, treating the ill, preventing the sickness from spreading. 4 people died. 4 more names added to the list. On the 8th day, part of a tunnel collapsed. 20 people were trapped. The rescue teams dug for 6 hours. They saved 18. 2 bodies were left in the rubble because it was too dangerous to recover them. Each crisis was met with the same response: assess, adapt, overcome. The colonists didn't panic. They didn't give up. They faced each problem and solved it as best they could. Then they moved on to the next problem. In the council chamber, Chen Wei received regular updates. She shared them with the delegates, who listened in fascination and horror. "Your people are dying," a Thoraxian observed. "Slowly, one by one. Is this truly survival?" "Yes," Chen Wei said. "It is. Survival is not about avoiding all death. It is about ensuring that some live, that the group continues, that the next generation has a chance." "It seems cruel." "It is cruel. Life is cruel. But humans have learned to be crueler. We are crueler than the disasters that try to kill us. We are crueler than the universe itself. That is how we survive." The Thoraxian was silent. It had no response to that. On the 9th day underground, something unexpected happened. The earthquake activity stopped. Dr. Okonkwo checked her instruments 3 times. She couldn't believe it. The planetary core had stabilized. Not completely, but enough. The collapse had reached a new equilibrium point. "What does this mean?" Marcus asked. "It means the radiation will start decreasing. Slowly at first, then faster. In a few months, the surface might be livable again." "A few months? We can't survive down here for a few months." "I know, but it's good news for the long term. This planet isn't going to die, just change." Marcus nodded. It was good news. Small good news, but something to hold on to. He made an announcement to the colony. The planet was stabilizing. Help was coming. They just needed to hold on a little longer, 2 more days. The announcement lifted spirits. People smiled, some laughed, a few cried with relief. The end was in sight. On the 10th day, the rescue fleet sent a message. They were ahead of schedule. They would arrive in 20 hours, not 48. Marcus read the message aloud. The tunnels erupted in cheers. People hugged each other. Children ran around, excited even though they didn't fully understand. Janet Kowalski, still recovering from her radiation exposure, raised her fist in the air. "We did it," she shouted. "We actually did it." Marcus smiled, but he knew it wasn't over yet. 20 hours was still a long time. Things could still go wrong. "We celebrate when we're on the ships," he said. "Until then, we keep working." The cheering continued anyway. He let it. The people needed this moment of hope. In the council chamber, Chen Wei smiled too. "The rescue fleet is close. They will make it." You sound certain now, High Speaker Voreth said. I am certain, not because the situation is safe, but because my people have proven what they can do. They have faced death and refused it. They have held on when holding on seemed impossible. They will not fail now when victory is so close. What happens after the rescue? They will be evacuated. Some will need medical care for months. Some will never fully recover from the radiation exposure, but most will survive, and they will rebuild. They always rebuild. On another world. Perhaps on this one after it heals. Humans are stubborn. We get attached to places. We fight for them. High Speaker Vorath considered this. Your species is remarkable. I have never seen anything like this survival effort. The determination, the cooperation, the refusal to accept defeat. This is not remarkable for us, Chen Wei said. This is normal. This is who we are. We have been doing this for 200,000 years. We will continue doing it for 200,000 more. The rescue fleet arrived 18 hours later, 2 hours ahead of schedule. Captain Sarah Okonkwo, no relation to the colony's Dr. Okonkwo, commanded the lead ship. She had pushed her engines beyond safe limits to get there faster. She would deal with the maintenance problems later. Her ships carried supplies, medical equipment, and enough space for all 5,000 colonists. They also carried something else, hope. The shuttles descended through the poisoned atmosphere. Their hulls were specially shielded against radiation. Even so, the pilots felt uncomfortable. The radiation readings were extreme. How did they survive down there? One pilot asked. Because they had to, Captain Okonkwo replied. That's what humans do. The shuttles landed near the tunnel entrances. Teams in radiation suits went to the sealed doors. They had the codes to open them. They had been sent by Colony Director Marcus Webb, along with detailed instructions. The first door opened. The smell hit the rescue teams immediately. Thousands of people living in cramped tunnels for 10 days. Limited sanitation. Limited cleaning supplies. It was not pleasant. But then the colonists started emerging, blinking in the harsh light of the rescue lamps. Pale, thin, exhausted, but alive. Families came out together, holding hands. Parents carried children. The young helped the old. Everyone supported everyone else. Marcus Webb was one of the last to emerge. He had insisted on it. He wanted to make sure everyone else got out first. Captain Okonkwo met him at the tunnel entrance. Colony Director Webb, I'm Captain Okonkwo. We're here to take you home. Marcus looked at her. His eyes were red and tired. He had dark circles under them. He had lost weight, but he was smiling. Thank you, Captain, but first can you tell me, how many of my people made it? All of them, Director. All 5,000 minus the 12 who were lost during the underground period. The rest are all alive. Marcus closed his eyes. Tears ran down his cheeks. He didn't try to hide them. 12, he whispered. Only 12. We lost only 12. That's remarkable, Director. Truly remarkable. It wasn't me. It was all of us. Everyone worked. Everyone helped. Everyone refused to give up. Captain Okonkwo nodded. She understood. She had seen human survival efforts before. They were always like this, collective, determined, unstoppable. The evacuation took 6 hours. The shuttles made multiple trips. The medical team started treating the worst cases immediately. The radiation exposure victims were stabilized. The injured were cared for. Janet Kowalski was carried onto a shuttle on a stretcher. She protested, saying she could walk. The medical team ignored her protests. She was still weak. She needed rest. As her shuttle lifted off, she looked out the window. The surface of New Prospect was a wasteland. Red soil turned black, plants dead, buildings crumbling, a world dying. But they had survived it. They had looked at death and said, not today. They had won. In the council chamber, Chen Wei received the final confirmation. The evacuation was complete. All surviving colonists were aboard the rescue ships. "It is done," she told the delegates. "My people are safe." The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then High Speaker Voreth spoke. "Ambassador Chen Wei, we have listened to your story. We have watched your people fight for their lives. We have seen what you call normal." He paused. "I do not think we have ever encountered a species like yours. You are weak by our standards, small, fragile. You should have died countless times in your history. You should have died on that colony world." "But we didn't." "No, you didn't, and that is what makes you different." He looked at the other delegates. They nodded. "The Galactic Council has made a decision. Humanity will be accepted as a member species, not as junior members, not as observers, as full members with all rights and responsibilities." Chen Wei bowed. "Thank you, High Speaker." "Do not thank me. I have a feeling we will be asking you to thank us many times in the years to come, when disasters strike, when problems seem unsolvable, when the universe tries to kill us." He smiled, a rare expression for his species. "We will call upon humans, and you will survive, because that is what you do." The vote was taken. It was unanimous. Humanity had joined the Galactic Council. After the session ended, Chen Wei returned to her quarters. She sat by the window looking at the stars. Somewhere out there, the rescue fleet was carrying 5,000 survivors to safety. Somewhere out there, humanity was doing what it had always done: living, building, growing. Her communication device chirped. A message from Colony Director Marcus Webb. "Ambassador Chen Wei, I heard about the Council's decision. Congratulations, I wish I could have been there to see it." She smiled and replied, "You were there, Director, you and all your colonists. Your survival convinced them more than any speech I could give. We didn't survive for politics. We survived because we had to." "I know, that's what made it convincing." There was a pause, then, "What happens now?" "Now we rebuild. We always rebuild. That colony world will heal eventually, or we'll find another one. Either way, humans will spread across this galaxy. Nothing will stop us." "Nothing ever has." "No, nothing ever has." Chen Wei ended the communication. She continued looking at the stars. 200,000 years of survival had brought humanity to this point. How many more years lay ahead? How many more challenges? How many more moments when the universe tried to kill them? It didn't matter. Humanity would face each one the same way, together, determined, unstoppable. They had brought their legacy of survival to the stars, and nothing would stop them. The story of new prospects spread across the galaxy. Other species heard about the small, soft beings who had dug into the ground to escape planetary death. They heard about the endless work, the refusal to give up, the determination to live. Some species were impressed, some were frightened, some didn't believe it until they saw the recordings. But all of them came to understand something important. Humanity was not a species to underestimate. They might be small, they might be weak, they might be fragile, but they were survivors. And survivors, as the galaxy would learn, are the most dangerous thing of all. Years later, a memorial was built on New Prospect. The planet had healed as Dr. Okonkwo had predicted. Some colonists returned. Others chose to stay on other worlds, but they all remembered. The memorial listed 12 names, 12 people who had died so that others could live. Maria Santos, who was crushed in the tunnel collapse, 4 who died from contaminated water, 2 who were buried in the cave-in, 5 others who succumbed to various injuries and illnesses during those terrible 10 days. Below the names was an inscription. It read, "They refused to die, so we lived." Marcus Webb visited the memorial every year until he was too old to travel. His daughters continued the tradition after him, then their children, then their children's children. The story became legend. The legend became inspiration. Whenever humans faced impossible odds, someone would mention New Prospect. Someone would say, "They survived, so can we." And they would, because that was what humans did. High Speaker Voreth served on the Galactic Council for another 50 years. He watched humanity spread across the galaxy. He saw them colonize worlds that other species had deemed uninhabitable. He saw them survive disasters that should have destroyed them. He saw them again and again prove that his decision to accept them had been right. On his last day in office, he gave a final speech. "When I first met humans," he said, "I thought they were weak, small, insignificant. I thought they would contribute little to our council." He paused. "I was wrong. In 50 years, humans have become our greatest asset, not because they are strong, not because they are smart, although they are both, but because they never ever stop, they never give up, they never accept defeat." He looked at the human delegation, led now by Ambassador Emma Webb, daughter of Marcus Webb. Humanity brought their legacy of survival to the stars, and nothing in 50 years has stopped them. I do not believe anything ever will. Ambassador Webb smiled. She thought of her father, now old and retired on a peaceful colony world. She thought of her own children, who had never known a time when humans weren't part of the galactic community. She thought of all the generations before them, going back 200,000 years. "We're just doing what we've always done," she said. "Surviving, it's the only thing we know how to do." "And that," High Speaker Voreth replied, "is why you are the most valuable species in this galaxy." The meeting ended, the delegates dispersed, but the truth remained. Humanity had come to the stars carrying nothing but their legacy of survival. They had brought stubbornness, determination, and an absolute refusal to die. It had been enough. It would always be enough.